So my name is Joe Reynolds from LowKickMMA. Today joining me is Danish superstar already. He's 12-0. He's undefeated. He's facing Drakkar Klose in October. The interview is brought to you by VegasInsider. So big thank you to them for sorting this out for us. To start us off, how are you feeling towards the fight, buddy?
I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm a little under than 5 weeks out, so I feel like going tomorrow. I'm excited.
Yeah, and as well, this fight, obviously, Drakkar Klose, he was the person to call you out for the fight. He was the person that wanted the fight, and now he's got the fight that he wanted. Do you feel as though he should have looked elsewhere, maybe, and he might regret this call out in a sense for calling you out like the way that he did? And are you looking forward to sort of getting in there?
I definitely think Drakkar should have called someone else out. The thing is with call-outs, it's a funny thing because the mental aspect in it is as one guy's calling another guy out because he thinks he's better than the other fighter. And me personally, I love call-outs because that triggers something in me. I mean, that puts a little extra in there. So, I mean, I think Drakkar made a mistake. And I'm going to prove that October 29th. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to knock his head out and retire this guy. So, quite simple.
Yeah, and as well, just to touch on your UFC career so far, obviously, it's been nothing short of phenomenal. So even though you're 12-0, you're very accomplished outside of it, obviously being an Olympian medalist as well. But in terms of his 2020, I believe you fought with a broken jaw as well during a fight. And to have that adversity already and to come out on top like you have done, does that sort of give you a bit of a confidence booster, knowing that whatever's thrown your way, you know you're able to handle it, not just in wrestling, but also coming into MMA now as well in the UFC?
I think the answer to that is I know what I'm capable of. I've known that my entire life. I have a long career behind me in wrestling. I'm the most accomplished Danish wrestler ever. I moved into MMA, and I know what I'm capable of. I broke my jaw in my second UFC fight. Early in the second round, I had to fight with a broken jaw for 8 minutes or whatever. I actually broke my foot in my last fight in the first round. So I know I'm able to work through adversity. And really, I think it's my opponent that needs to know that I'm in there to get the job done. I won't quit. I won't give up. And when it's game time, he can count on me being there 100%.
Yeah, and then just I touched on your wrestling a little bit there. Obviously, I've recently been training with Henry Cejudo, obviously both Olympic medalists, both very successful in your own rights, especially now transitioning to MMA as well. Obviously, Cejudo, champion yourself. It looks as though you're going to be a champion, so, you know, future time you will be. But to train around someone like Cejudo and obviously moving to Phoenix, what has that been like for your progression in not just MMA, but in terms of just martial arts as a whole?
It's been a steep learning curve. We have to keep in mind that I retired wrestling in 2018 and moved into MMA with 100% focus on development in the sport. And I did the first couple of years in Denmark, trying to do my best. I had to travel a lot to go to training. I didn't have a gym in my area of the country, so I had to go around, you know, sometimes spending 4 hours just to get to one practice, 2 hours there, 2 hours back. I mean, coming here, having a gym 7 minutes away with some of the best fighters in the world, some of, you know, amazing coaches, it's been a steep learning curve. And I think I'm developing my MMA game dramatically. I'm getting a more complete MMA fighter. I mean, MMA is not just wrestling, you know, it's the complete martial arts set. And I feel like I'm developing into a complete MMA fighter.
100%. And then as well, just to touch on sort of Denmark and MMA there in general, obviously, with the IMAFs now that you've got, a lot of Scandinavian countries, even at an amateur level, they're becoming very successful. And to sort of see the progression that not just yourself, but your own country's making in every aspect of martial arts. What's that like knowing as well now that you are inside the UFC, they'll look at you as someone that they might aspire to be like one day in the future, or to sort of make the progression and have the success that you have as well?
Well, I'm proud of being a front runner in some sense. I mean, we have a lot of amazing Danish fighters fighting in the UFC, fighting in the Bellator. I mean, MMA in Denmark has been growing over the years, and I mean, it's always, you know, fun to be part of something successful, something that is growing, something that's, you know, developing into, let's call it, more mainstream. MMA in Denmark has been a little niche for a long while, but it's becoming more mainstream now, which is a very cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah, and then as well, I've noticed whenever you fight, every time after the fight, you look at the news and what people are saying. Everyone's saying the next Habib's kryptonite. I've seen some people say, and all this, and sort of pushing you very quickly in a sense. But do you want to be like the next Habib in the UFC, or are you looking to even go beyond that and sort of make your own name in the history books, not just sort of in the UFC, but in MMA as well?
I'm going to be the only Mark O. Madsen in the UFC. I mean, I do take it as a compliment being compared to Khabib. Khabib is, in my book, he's the GOAT. I mean, amazing fighter coming from a wrestling background. The things he's done in the sport is amazing. I respect Khabib. I respect his team. So let's put that aside. I'm going to be the next Margo Madsen. I'm going to be the only Margo Madsen in the UFC.
100%, and it's definitely not a name to forget either. But and then to touch back on this fight as well, obviously, I'm sure you'll have looked at Drakkar Klose closely now going into the fight. But what is the sort of the prediction going into that fight? Having watched him, how do you feel it's going to go, and what do you see the result being in your eyes?
I see myself beating the shit out of Drakkar Klose. I know for a fact that he's a dog. He's coming forward. He's aggressive. He's there to fight, which is cool. He called me out. He asked for me to sign the contract. I signed the contract. It's been dead quiet since I signed the contract. I haven't heard a peep from Drakkar Klose, which I find, to be honest, a little strange, especially after him being that aggressive. But come October 29th, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to put the heat on Drakkar Klose.
Yeah, and then do you feel as though maybe he didn't think you were going to sign that contract, or do you feel as though he didn't think the UFC won that fight yet, or do you feel as though maybe he made the call because he didn't expect for you to accept the contract the way that you did and as quick as you did as well?
I can't answer what happened. I saw an article of him fighting the last fight, which was supposed to be the last fight on his contract. He even said something about potentially moving over to PFL. So I don't even know if he planned on staying in the UFC. No clue. But, you know, a call out is a call out. And if you ask me to be a man, if you're calling me a pussy online, hey, I'm here. I'm here to fight the best in the world. And if Drakkar Klose wants to square off, I'm sure the guy to put the heat on him.
Yeah, 100%. And then we've already touched on sort of the success that people are seeing you having in the UFC. But looking at the landscape of the division that you're in now currently, you know, looking at Islam Makhachev and Charles Oliveira, obviously they're fighting for the title. Do you see one of those two being the champion when your time does come around to fight for the belt? Or do you even see, are you not even fussed about who has the belt at the time? Just when it comes for your opportunity, that you're going to be there to take it?
I see Islam Makhachev as the new UFC champ. 100%. I saw Michael Chandler say online that Islam, I think he said he hadn't earned it or that he hadn't fought anybody good. I think that's bullshit, number one. Islam Makhachev, I even had the chance to train with him. He's the real deal. And I see him as the new UFC champion. And I think he's going to hold that belt for a while, to be honest.
Yeah, so And then obviously looking ahead, we've obviously spoke about this fight in terms of how you see it going and everything such as that. But then, so obviously, you don't be overlooking your opponent anyway. But going beyond that, what is the sort of goals for you over the next year? Where do you want to be with inside of the UFC in terms of sort of people you want to be facing, or the ranked position that you're looking to be in yourself?
I know my overall goal. I moved to Phoenix to maximize my potential. This is a UFC title run. That's why I'm here. And I want to keep climbing the ranks in the UFC. I'm here to keep climbing, winning one fight after another. I'm going to win the next one. I'm going to win the next one. I'm going to win the next one until I stand in a title fight. So that's the way I see the whole journey and the progress.
Yeah, and then we touched on a little bit, obviously, about MMA in Denmark, but obviously there's different cultures as well to what you'll have in Denmark coming over to England, to America, sorry. What would you say were the biggest shocks or differences in the way that they train over in America, or just how things are in America compared to how they were in Denmark for you?
I think there's a lot of differences. The American mindset is different than the Danish mindset. And when it comes to sport, I think the American mindset is amazing. I mean, this is a team that's about winning, and I have guys around me that are pushing me every single day. That's exactly what I needed. So without being able to put a finger on all the differences, I got to say personally, I love America. I love the mentality, and I think the decision on moving from Denmark to the United States to develop and join a team that is about winning was absolutely right.
Yeah, and then obviously we've already touched on the move just then, but also the gym that you've moved to. Obviously, we've already mentioned some of the names there. It's full of world champions, future world champions, and everything alike. So also being around those people day in, day out, does that sort of give you a boost of motivation to continue to work the level that they do? And just in general, what is it like being around those sort of people?
I think accomplishing great things in life is about surrounding yourself with people on the same path, people with the same goals, and being in a gym with, the big names that you mentioned, Henry Cejudo, Kelvin Gastelum, the Korean Zombie, Eric Anderson. Having guys here that are on the same path that you can spar with and learn from, it's very important. We become who we hang around with. It's that simple.
Yeah, and then one of the final questions from me, or the final question, if you could give one message to Drakkar Klose, obviously I know you've addressed him a few times, but if you could give one final message of what you want him to see, what you can expect to see October 29th, what would that message look like if you do have one for him, buddy?
Buckle up, Drakkar. I'm coming for you.
Go well. That is everything from me. Obviously, Matt, I really appreciate your time, and then VegasInsider for setting it up as well. Obviously, if you just want to feel free to shout any social medias, sponsors, anything like that, obviously just feel free to go ahead, buddy.
Thank you. I don't really have anything, so I just want to say thank you for the time and opportunities, Joseph. So thank you.
It's my absolute pleasure, buddy. Thank you very much. And then VegasInsider, Mads, as well. Thank you to yourself as well for sorting this out as well for us.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKickMMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.